Hello, my name is Apple of Doom and welcome to another Geometry Dash building video. Now before I get started into the video, I've done some research and it actually turns out if I beg for you to subscribe at the start, more than likely than not, you're gonna subscribe. So subscribe, do it now, subscribe to me now, do it, subscribe. I hope that was funny, because if it isn't, I am going to delete my YouTube channel. In the last episode, I finished up this giant garden area here, and I think it looks quite cool. But there's a couple of things I want to actually change with it. In the last episode, I said I might want to have a time-lapse episode where I clean up the level. Well, I lied. I'm probably going to do that in the next video, because there's a couple of things I want to change up first. First thing I want to do is change up this whole section in here, because I think this is kind of clunky and awkward, and I don't quite like the way it turned out. Before I go on and finish cleaning up the interior of this castle section, I've been kind of chipping away at it the past couple of episodes, but I think I need to actually clean it up. Finish up the stained glass windows, because I added the stained glass windows like months ago, and I just have not finished doing the rest of them or any of the detail in the background as well. There's a lot of different things, and you can see how bad the layering here is and all that sort of stuff. So I gotta fix that up. So I think we'll get started with changing up this section. Now, I think first and foremost that the actual length of, this disappearing and coming back, it's way too fast, it's way too sudden. I think I'm gonna pull this back to about here and increase the length maybe to 0.5. So that way you have a much better idea of what's going on, and maybe a 0.5 out as well. I think the other thing is, I don't like how this kind of jumps up and then does all that sort of stuff. So I think I'm gonna get rid of this, and I've got a better idea. I think it would be really cool if kind of blue orbs started, falling from the waterfall, and so it didn't look like you could interact with them, but you actually could. I think that might be a really neat idea. So one idea I might have is that you have to actually jump up to this kind of layer here. So what I might do is grab one of these rocks and then just kind of warp it like this, maybe. Maybe that'll make it look like you kind of have to jump up a little bit. I think that could be a useful way of going about it. Oh, I also recently bought a new keyboard, so hopefully it should be a lot quieter and you don't hear me go clack, 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 clack the entire time. There we go. Does that look like you have to jump up it? Maybe if I do something like that. I think that blends in a little too much. I think I'll just leave it at that. And then what I wanted to do was add back in the spikes that I initially had in there, because in the last episode, I did actually have spikes in here, but I removed them because they weren't that visible. They're a little tricky to see. So I think by having this fade in from a much further distance away, it makes them a lot more visible. And then I've got to sort out how I want the blue orbs to fall down the waterfall. Now I need to find a layer that isn't being used. Nope. All right, layer 24, there we go. And I think what I'll do is have these at different scales, and I'll add them to a new layer, and they'll be kind of like a half opacity as well. And I will remove their particles. So if I go into the extra tab here, I can go don't fade, don't enter. Where's no particle? I'm actually blind. There we go, no particle. Actually also go no glow. So hopefully that should leave off a pretty cool effect. All right, so now if I take these are all 370, go over here, I put an alpha trig of 370 and I make them, 30% opacity. Okay, that looks a little too opaque. That looks a bit better. And then I can have it, if you've touched up here, then it'll spawn a group of these as well. I've just got to layer them under this, which is B3 -8. Actually, that might be a problem. Because what is this? B19. So what I might do is go to this layer here, bring these all up, make them B1, and then hopefully I can change this B19, which means, yep, that's great. Actually, no, it's not great. What am I talking about? I'm gonna make all these B120, B119, so I can make these ones B118, so they'll sit below the kind of rocks and above the water. Yeah, there we go. Now I'm just gonna set a start pause and we'll try that out. All right, how far away does it fade? I forgot to move them down. We'll make 370 move, -100 over the course of like 5. Is that long enough? That's definitely long enough. All right, let's see if that works, and let's see how visible that is. That is really interesting. I think they're a little too invisible, so I'll knock them up just a little bit. I also think they could be moving maybe a bit slower, or what if I just move all of this down a little bit so it'll be offset and I'll just like flip this. Yeah, that works. I actually don't know whether it should be a jump up or like a slope up into the cave area I've created. Yeah, like it's really not that obvious that it goes up like that. So maybe I'll just add like this and then make it invisible so that even if you don't realize it'll push you up anyways. Oh, right. I was going to test how sight readable the spikes were. I'm really great at keeping on track. Yeah, oh my god, that's so much better. I also forgot, because I'm very good at keeping things on track, that I was gonna make these not interactable until you've touched up here. So if I have, 371, it toggles off, and then it toggles on here, but it's touch triggered. Okay, let's see if that works, because I'm not sure it will like me having a move trigger with the toggle trigger after it. Okay, these are way too far down now. So yep, they definitely don't appear when you do the normal route. Whoa, they just kind of suddenly appear. How can I make that a bit nicer? If I have this as a touch trigger that goes to full opacity in like 15 seconds, so it kind of fades on. I don't know, let's see this in like the normal mode. I feel like it's still a little invisible. No, it just kind of looks weird. Look, this is the only thing I need Mega Hack for, just shrinking them all down together. Just stretching them out a little, maybe? I think that's a little too visible, I don't know. I'm nitpicking this like crazy, but it's because I want my level to be the best it could be. I also think this needs to fade out a bit more, so maybe I'll pull this down to 10% opacity, so everything's a little bit more visible. I've also got to switch up this little doodad, because I think it looks a little strange. So what I'm going to do is put it on 372, make it move up by 2, and then down by 2, and then we create loop. And so by creating that loop, it should just indefinitely go up and down, like bob up and down. I think that should look good. It looks really dumb. It needs ease in out, I reckon. And then maybe like a 1, -1. Actually, no, it doesn't need any of that. What it needs is a pickup little thing. It needs to rotate and move. Within 0.1, it'll go up 2 and then down 100 and across like 10. And so that should be like a collectible. It'll make it go pink, like in an arc, like pink. The worst way I could have described it. I'm gonna change a little bit more, and then this needs to be a bit longer. I think I'll change it to 0.6 and that'll make it rotate. Okay, let's see how hokey pokey this looks. That's right, I used hokey pokey again. Aren't I old? Okay, that needs to go down way further, up way higher, and spin way faster. Interesting, I actually jumped up to get it. Where are these toggle triggers located? Here. Okay, I'm going to warp them up a bunch so that you really can't miss it, because I definitely missed them because I jumped. And I've also got to find where the little key is. I know there's a little key. Yeah, this also needs a giant hitbox, because this is actually what's driving everything. Well, this toggles 371, so I may as well just add these to 371 as well, because it doesn't move. So when you hit that, it toggles everything on, and then la-di-da-di-da-di-da-di-do. You know what, I don't actually like these falling here. I think what I'm gonna do instead is just have it as a invisible blue portal. I think that'd just work way better. Scale this all the way up and hide it, and no effects. So you go past here and the waterfall brings you back down. I think that's a little nicer. I also realized this is way too fast now. And so I'm gonna pull it over and then make this 0.2, make this move a little further. And now it'll go like, pew! It'll be nicer. That makes sense, trust me! Okay, yeah, I'm really nitpicking on all of this, but like, I think it'll turn out just a-okay. Actually, what am I doing? I should test this in like the normal mode. Okay, I keep instinctively jumping there, so I'm gonna see what happens if you hit the blue portal while not jumping at the end of the waterfall, to make sure it works alright. Yeah, you got barely enough time. It's a key, so it's supposed to be harder anyways. And then you get it from here, and it's like, yay! I got the key, yay! Okay, I'm a lot happy with that, except I think I've got to move this down just like a smidgen. I kind of want them to rotate. Would it be weird if I said I wanted them to rotate? Just like very slowly. You know, just have a couple of them just like rotating at different times. So it's like, oh, look, there's the particle thingy going. I don't know. Just let me try things. Don't judge me. That's certainly interesting. Yeah, I think that works fine. I'm gonna leave it at that. That is my solution to my own problem. Alright, now I've got another problem. All this is layered badly and there's things I need to change. If I go show hitboxes, when you enter the spider here, you can actually just head up here and then just stay on the roof up until here, which it's not good gameplay, it's not good game design, it's not like whatever. So I need like a natural feeling way of blocking off this area, because this area in here especially looks really empty. So what I'm thinking of doing is having some of these a little darker, maybe in the background or something like that, because I've done a lot of the work on the bottom and I've just realized you can just head down here. Ugh. And you can also just head through here. There's a lot of spots you can escape. So I'm going to attempt to patch them up, I guess. Alright, I think it might take me a little bit of time to relayer everything and fill in a lot of the background pieces. So I think I'm going to do that in time-lapse form. So let's get going. Hello and welcome to the time-lapse. It's been a little while since the last video I made, which is kind of crazy. I've had an absolute time between episodes. So just to fill you guys in on the gap, I got COVID, so I wasn't unable to record for a little bit. I ended up crashing my car, getting it fixed in the time it's taken to make this episode. That was a nightmare. And I've been working like every single day, so it's been pretty difficult for me to find time to actually work on this level. Especially because, just to fill you in on my process, the kind of recorded live play sections take a lot of time and effort to do. Like, what you'll see is I'll have like basically like an hour or two condensed down into like 5-10 minutes. And so, you know, a lot of the longer episodes I've been releasing recently have been taking a lot of time to come out. So I'm very happy to get into more time-lapse stuff, because it means I can just kind of chip away at it after I finish work and that sort of thing. So, actually talking about the level itself now, the first thing I did was I went through and relayered a lot of the wood structures, because they were kind of clipping into the background, and so I really needed to fix that up in order for it to look good. And then I decided I wanted to work a bit more on the glass that's in the background. I had these big kind of open door areas that I always wanted to do some sort of, you know, like a deck or like a lookout or something there, even if it's a little hard to see. And so I decided to I looked up various different like medieval windows and that sort of thing, and I saw these kind of crisscross diagonal sort of designs were very popular. And I also saw that pretty much all the windows and doors in those sort of medieval buildings were lined with you know, little like brick structures to like hold them in place. And so I essentially took the bricks from the pillars that I worked on, which were, I think it was just a recolored wood texture that I used initially. And everything I did, I pretty much aligned with those, and it really helps it stand out, because the background is very flat. It's just a single color. It's difficult to add brick to it because the bricks come in like these little square kind of things that you got to connect together. And so having multiple of those, it just got confused when it comes to like arches and circles and that sort of thing. So I needed a way to kind of make the background stand out a bit more, add a bit more detail into it without actually adding any detail to it. It makes no sense, but my solution to this was to add these kind of textured brick pieces to a lot of the background elements, and I think it ends up helping it stand out a lot more. After I did that, it took me a while to figure out how I wanted to do it, because I wasn't sure if I wanted them to be colored or not be colored or whatever. But after I did that, I added in a little balcony that'll move alongside the player. So, not alongside the player, but slowly in the background, because this section has probably the most amount of depth out of the whole level. Everything is moving at, you know, different speeds to create that illusion, that parallax effect. Parallax is what it's called. And so I really wanted to keep that, and so I added in that kind of like balcony sort of backing that I was talking about earlier. And then I moved on to the stained glass windows, which at first I completely forgot that I'd actually done the stained glass windows in a way that one of them was just squares, one of them was just triangles, and another one was mixed. So you'll see I initially start to put it all together as like kind of a mixed structure, and then I realize, oh shit, and then delete one and redo it. I wasn't sure whether I wanted to have a kind of symbol on it like I did with the circular ones, because I put the kind of, I guess, the castle symbol. It's like the logo for the level, basically, in the windows up the top. And so I thought if I got those back there, then there's no need for me to, you know, do them again. I could have gone for another design, but I thought it'd be just way too complicated, and you barely get to see it anyways because it's in the background of everything. So I ended up just copy and pasting it across a couple times. I don't think anyone that like plays the level casually will notice. Like, you guys will know because you're watching the time lapse right now, but like everyone else, they won't know. So then I added in the kind of brick structure to help it all stand out, and I decided to give it a windowsill as well, just because I thought that would really help with it. In gameplay, it's a little hard to see. You'll be able to see it at the end when I do the kind of the showcase to it, but I think it really helps sell that they're like actually windows. I then went through and tried to fix up a lot of the secret ways you could call them that I pointed out earlier in the episode. And one way of doing this was by adding in more of those kind of hanging structures, and oh my god, the chains were a nightmare to work with because they don't, the way I made them, they don't actually fit with the grid properly. So I had to try and figure out a way to, you know, make the structures come down far enough so that you've got enough space to, you know, move around them, but also so that it was obvious that you died on them. It was just a bit of a nightmare to position them. And then I wasn't sure whether I should have added the groups or whatnot to them to make them swing, and I just couldn't figure it out, so I gave up, basically. But I think it ended up looking quite good, and it fills the space and everything. You'll see I added in a couple of those distillery barrels kind of hanging from the ceiling as well, just in case. And that really helps act as a guard. And then I also did that with the wooden structures. Now, on to the fun part. I had a lot of fun doing this. So I mentioned before that there's a lot of blank space on the back kind of walls of the castle. And so I thought a good way to kind of get around that was to make little paintings. And I think these came out really cool. They're really cute little things. So for the first one, I did like a castle on a hill, which is like, you know, that's basically what you see in the whole background of the level. So I thought, oh, why not turn it into a painting? You know, I added little trees, I added like shading to it and everything. I thought that'd be a really fun way of, I don't know, self-referencing the level, I guess you could say. But yeah, I was really happy with how this turned out, and I ended up doing 2 more as well. One of them was actually suggested in, I think it was the last episode or the episode before, someone asked for a burger to be put in the level, which I thought, oh yeah, that'd be a little funny thing, and so I just made a painting of a burger. So I forget who commented that, but you're welcome. Enjoy the burger. Again, it's just a cute little simple thing, just to add some texture in the background, but I think it looks really cool regardless. And then I really wanted to do like a medieval sort of painting, like referencing like Renaissance art and that sort of thing, but I couldn't really. I wanted to keep these kind of simple because they're in the background, and also I've got an object limit to deal with because this area is extremely object dense. So I kind of referenced that one painting where like the princess is knighting the like knight with the fat ass. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, you don't. But instead, I just went for like a little king cube with the colors of the castle. Like, because if you look throughout, I designed the like banners and everything to be red and yellow. Well, that was what was voted in by you guys when I was originally designing them, which was a couple months ago, I think. And so I thought that would be pretty cute to add in. So you can see I added in the painting all the way in the background to fill out a lot of that space, and then I added in the other 2 as kind of smaller paintings that are spread throughout. So I think that turned out quite nice. And that's pretty much it for the time lapse. I hope you enjoyed it. I just picked up a bit of layering and then that was it. So time to finish up the episode, I guess. Holy crap, that took way too long. The level is insanely laggy now. I don't know if you can tell, it's chugging. You can see it up the top. My frames just keep, I don't even know what they're doing. I also increased the size of the level by about 10,000 objects. This entire section alone, let's take a look how many objects this roughly is. 14,000. About a quarter of the level is just in here. It's nuts. I'm gonna need to go through it and work on the LDM at some point, but I think that looks so much better. There's so much detail going on. I feel like it might clash a little bit, like maybe I should darken up everything, but I don't know. I'm really not sure what to think about the little kind of doors I added. Or not doors, but like kind of open windows. I thought that'd be a cool little detail, but you know, I probably spoke about it in the time-lapse audio, which I'm still yet to do. That is an editing me job. But for now, yeah, I think that's good. I think I'm gonna leave it at that. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like, comment down below your thoughts. I always look at them and I love to incorporate them into the level. Just as a reminder, the song is copyrighted, so I'm gonna be putting a different song over the top of it. And I feel like I also need to remind everyone that this is an easy 2-star level. The whole idea of this was that I'm trying to make a 2-star level. So that's why the gameplay looks a little simple, because I have gotten comments about that. But overall, this is so close. Next episode, I lied about this being the time-lapse episode. Next episode will be entirely time-lapse. I've got to clean up the level. There's a lot of stuff I've got to change all throughout here to just kind of clean it up and make it look nuts, like add in different details and sunlight effects and blah, blah, blah. But man, this is really coming together. I'm really happy with this. This is almost done, and I'll see you in the next video.